Marie, welcome and over to you.
Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen. This is always when you panic. It's just about to... Can everybody see that? Great. As mentioned, I'm one of the regional managers. There's 11 of us at Lloyds Bank Foundation, and I cover quite a big area. And part of that is Berkshire and West Berkshire. I won't go into all the areas. South Central is a Lloydsism, but nobody knows where it is. But if you're really interested, give me a shout and I'll tell you where I cover. Just a bit of background to who Lloyds Bank Foundation are. We're an independent charity funded by Lloyds Banking Group. Lloyds Banking Group, as you know, is Lloyds Bank. Well, maybe you know Lloyds Bank, but Halifax and the Royal Bank of Scotland and a number of other. They employ about 63,000 people across the country. So we work in partnership with local charities. People and communities that are changing lives and working towards a more just and compassionate society. The specialist programme which I've come here to talk about is 50% of our funding. So we give out about probably about 13 million a year, and so 6.3 million of it, or 6.5 million of it is going to 6.3 million is going to our specialist programme, which opened on the 1st of November, and applications close on the 25th of January. We under the specialist programme, we address one of our charities need to address one of our 8 themes. I'll go through the 8 themes with you through the presentation. It's unrestricted funding, completely unrestricted. You could put it in your reserve. You can buy a piece of capital equipment. You can do whatever you like with it, really. In the application, if you were to look at it, you'd probably see that there is no question about budgets or money. We just assume everybody wants the 25 grand a year for 3 years, which is £75,000. And we also provide organisational development support through them 3 years. So that's the relationship with the regional manager. And there's quite a separate budget that the regional manager manages on your behalf, and we can bring in external consultancies or external support. The decisions are going to be done by the 24th of May 2024, so hopefully not too long a turnaround. What do we mean by specialists? Well, the primary purpose must be to support people whose everyday lives are significantly affected by one of the themes we're funding in the programme. That your purpose is clearly in your charitable objects, and the majority of work is centralised around the theme and not a standalone project. As I mentioned, this is unrestricted funding, so we don't fund anything you know, that project funding. So it's got to be at least more than 50% of your work is under this theme. And the themes are, as you can see, addiction, care leavers, domestic abuse, homelessness, offending, asylum seekers and refugees, sexual abuse and exploitation, and trafficking and modern slavery. And if you were to go into our website, I'll give you a link at the end of this, you can see a guidance for each specific theme. So it will explain what we mean by this terminology as well, and how that fits and what's your eligibility under that theme. The basic eligibility. So are you a charity in England and Wales? Working with people aged 18 plus, registered charity with at least 1 year's published accounts on the Charity Commission website, of an income of between 25,000 and 500,000, and has the charity has its own bank account. Have at least 3 unrelated trustees. And we would be also looking at the balance of power. So if you had 5 trustees and 3 were related, that wouldn't be a good balance of power. So we would also be looking at that. And also if there's any interrelated parties within the trustee and CEO relationship, and we'd be looking for a conflict of interest policy on that. That you have a safeguarding policy and public liability insurance. And if you have a current grant with us, it must end before the 25th of January 2025. So the work, what we mean by in-depth, is a long-term relationship, may include short-term activities such as a helpline, but it must lead to long-term support. Whether it's under domestic abuse, it would be refuge support, outreach support, the freedom programme, that sort of thing. It's person-centred, so there's a tailored approach, so one-to-one development plans for the individual, a trusted relationship with other providers around, so the support in the round, holistic support, and that you track the progress. And the personal plans, understanding of people's individual needs and challenges, written or electronic records, and noting progress against the activities. So an example of this might be an addiction charity providing one-to-one support, that they offer ongoing support after the programme is finished, and they're working with other relationships and developed other relationships with the local providers in the community to support that person moving forward. What we call maybe a warm handover rather than just signposting. So if you were successful moving forward, how do we prioritise, how do we prioritise the applications if you did apply to us? So the 4 areas are your approach to equity, diversity and inclusion, how you support people, the development of your organisation, and the geographical location. As some areas, we don't specifically have a budget for each region, but some areas have not received as much funding as others. So there is a priority in the Southwest, Wales and Northeastern Cumbria, because we didn't fund as many charities this year from them regions. But that would be the final thing to break down if it was 2 charities that were of the same, providing the same support, doing the same thing, we would bring into the geographical process. So the application process is find out what you expect from this programme. So look at our website, look at the guidance, answer 15 short eligibility questions on the system, tell us about, and then once you get your application, tell us about the work your application does, your charity does in the application form. Hopefully it's still an onerous task, but it talks about what are your main activities, how do you meet the criteria. So it's always good to look at the guidance while you're talking about the charity that you work with through the application, because there'll be certain key elements that our central team will be looking for when they're doing the sifting process. If you get through the sifting process, to give you a guidance, last time we got 280 applications, and just over 100 got through to the first stage of the conversation with the grants officer. And out of that 100, just over 100, well, it was 105, 82 grants were made. So once you get to the conversation, it's a good percentage of being successful. And then we'll consider your application and let you know the outcome by the 24th of May 2024. So the key dates, just to reiterate, the application deadline is 5 p.m. on Thursday the 25th of January 2024. Shortlisting and assessments will take place between February and April, and then final decisions in May 2024. There's the two, as I said, there's only 50% of our grant funding that will go to the specialist programme. There'll be two further upcoming programmes in 2024. That's our racial equity programme, which opens in March 2024. And then the Deaf and Disabled People's Organisations programme, which opens in June 2024. Thank you for listening. That's our website. For more information, I'm going to put in the link to the calendar calls if it's, you know, you want to talk specifically about your charity and your charity's eligibility. There is an inquiries line or an email, and there's my email address or direct line number. I'll stop sharing. And you will get the slides afterwards.
Super. Thank you, Marie, for that whistle-stop tour of the specialist programme. Are there any questions from the floor? Alex, and I appreciate you came in towards the tail end of that, but we do have a recording that we can make available for you. So yeah, I'm just going to open it to the floor to see if there's any general questions that you'd like to ask.
May I ask a question? Is that okay? So, hi, I'm Fiona. I'm from Show Races and the Red Card. And I knew when I came onto this, I think that really we possibly don't meet the criteria because of the income. And I just wondered if there was any other places that Lloyds Foundation, you know, had for charities who have a slightly bigger income. You see, we depend entirely on donations to survive, and literally everything we get in we spend on our resources and support services and etc. So like we run so tightly, and there's so much more to do still with the projects that we want to launch with asylum seekers and refugees, etc. Especially at the moment, it's very, very important hot topic as well. So I just wondered, obviously we do not meet the criteria in terms of that. So it's a bit of a specific question to our organisation. And was there any other way of applying, or is that not at the moment?
Unfortunately, Fiona, this was part of our strategy, which was launched last year. Originally we did fund up to £1 million. But what we found was that the development support that we provide over and above the grant, our research team did quite a lot of research. We've been doing it for the last 10 years, and they found that the sweet spot for that support was at charities between the sizes of 100,000 and 450,000. So that's why we went from the 25 to the 500,000. Really it was just that's the basic eligibility across the board for all our grant giving. Unfortunately, you know, there is no other sort of like funding through Lloyds. I do have a mailing list that lots of other partners, you know, they're not partners, but anybody that's interested, and I get quite a lot of information from other funders and other funding that comes out, but also free training, that sort of thing. So if you did want to access that mailing list, you just need to email me, and Rachel will say, I'll give you the email address afterwards, and
thank you.
Just email me and confirm, because you know I'm a member of 2 funders forums, but also the funders that are around. So you know we do get sort of like quite a lot, and I know that information is you know, you could be going through a huge amount of information, whereas we get it and we filter it quite a bit.
Brilliant. Thank you. That'd be really useful. Thank you very much.
And the strategy is up until 2026, and we'll see from, you know, how that will change moving forward.
Okay. Thank you.